Hi everybody. I'm sorry I couldn't be there today. I had to stay home because my son is sick. I just wanted to briefly go over the questions for the post-lab discussion of crystal violet, tell you what to do in terms of test corrections and final review, and then at the end of this video will be the access code you need to take the crystal violet post-lab quiz and blend. Okay, so first question, what was the purpose of the lab? Well, we wanted to find the order with respect to crystal violet in the rate law using the graphical analysis method. So if we have this generalized version of the rate law, we wanted to find the value of the n exponent in that rate law from this experiment. So the concentration of the sodium hydroxide was much greater than the concentration of crystal violet. And the reason for that is so that we can consider the concentration of the sodium hydroxide to be constant. And we're focusing just on the change in rate due to the change in concentration of the crystal violet as it gets used up in the reaction. So we have this sort of pseudo rate law where we're essentially saying the rate constant and the concentration of sodium hydroxide are both constant. And we get this kind of collapsed version of the rate law where we're really only focusing on the effect of the crystal violet concentration. So we set the wavelength to green because it's a complementary color to the violet color of the solution, and we want it to be absorbed instead of reflected. And we calibrate the colorimeter in order to make sure that nothing else in the reaction mixture is causing any absorbance. So we put the other components of the reaction mixture, which is water and sodium hydroxide, in the cuvette, and we set that to 0. So on the x-axis of our data is time, and on the y-axis of our data is absorbance. But essentially, we're substituting absorbance for molarity because of their relationship in Beer's law. So for data analysis, we have essentially two columns of data. We have the absorbance and the time. And then we need to create two more columns of data, the natural log of the absorbance and then the reciprocal of the absorbance. And we do that for each and every data point. So we collected data for 15 minutes every 20 seconds. It took a data point, and we want every one of those to be changed into a natural log and a reciprocal. And then we create 3 graphs, the absorbance versus time, the natural log of absorbance versus time, and the reciprocal of absorbance versus time. And we use the graphing calculator to perform a linear regression on each graph. And so whichever of those 3 graphs gives you the best R-squared value, the best correlation coefficient, that tells you the order. So we're looking for the one that's the straight line. And so in our case, you should have found that it was the natural log of absorbance versus time that gave you the best R-squared value, the best straight line. And from that, we conclude that the reaction was first order with respect to crystal violet. So absorbance versus time would be 0 order, natural log of absorbance versus time would be first, and reciprocal of absorbance versus time would be second. So in a moment, you're going to take that post-lab quiz, but I wanted to give you all the instructions first. So for final review and test corrections, the sub has your kinetics tests that have been graded, that she has the corrections cover sheet, and also the kinetics 1-page reviews that you can take back. The test should be returned before the end of the period. I put out 2 bins under the American flag. If you're completely finished with your kinetics corrections, you can staple the cover sheet and all the pages, both multiple choice and free response, together and put it in the green bin. And then if you still need some more time to do some more corrections, you can put it in the pink labeled bin. There are also, underneath the American flag, are file folders. Each folder has somebody's name on it, and that's where you'll find the older tests for Unit 1 through 4 and the 1-pagers that you turned in. You can look at all of those tests as you're studying for the final, and you can take the one-pagers with you to study for the final, but definitely return those tests back to the file folder before the end of the period. The sub also has a practice pre-response handout for you that you can work on, and we'll go over the answers to that on Friday. So, Crystal Violet Postlab quiz is in Blend. It's open notes. It should be completed individually. And your access code, when you're prompted for it, is Rainbow Breath, all lowercase with a space in between the two words. So good luck, and you can email me or send me a remind if you have any questions, and I will hopefully see you soon. Take care.